Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Dark Necrofear Destiny board deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys, because this deck is a really creepy, spooky looking deck that basically uses a really awesome win condition in the form of Destiny board. That uses cards for like the spirit messages to put on your side of the field to spell out final, and when you do, you automatically win the game. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name scripture every single video, getting a signed card to mail, and even getting your requested deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test stands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing a single copy of Curse Necrofear. So this card is a really good one of in this particular build. I've changed it up a lot since the last time I profiled, and it's been a long time since I profiled this deck. But this card is a really good card because it has the ability, it cannot be normal summoned or set, it must be special summoned by a card effect. And you can target 3 of your banished fiend monsters and special summon this card from your hand and target, and if you do, you shuffle those banished monsters into the deck. And then during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was destroyed in the monster zone by an opponent's card and sit there this turn, you can special summon this card from the graveyard and then destroy cards your opponent controls up to the number of face-up spells and traps that you control with different names, which is a really good effect, especially to combo with your spirit messages, giving you multiple pops and letting you recycle your fiend monsters, putting them back into the deck. I then play a single copy of Dark Necrofear. So Dark Necrofear is a really good one of in this deck. You can manage 3 fiends to special summon this card to your side of the field, and also it has the ability, if this card is destroyed by battle or by your opponent's card effect, it is treated as an equipped card and you equip it to an opponent's monster and you take control of that opponent's monster. I really love that effect of being able to take an opponent's monster away from them, and this card is one of the creepiest looking cards in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And comment down below what you think is the creepiest card in Yu-Gi-Oh! We then play 2 copies of Dark Spirit of Banishment. Now this card is a very awesome card that has the ability that if your opponent's monster attacks at the start of the damage calculation or start of the damage step, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, hand or field to the graveyard, and target a level 8 fiend monster in the grave and special summon it. But its effects are negated. If you do, change the attack target to that monster that you special summon and perform damage calculation. And if any level 8 fiend monsters are sent to the graveyard while this card's in the graveyard, you can add it back to your hand. We then play 2 copies of Dark Spirit of Malice. Dark Spirit of Malice has pretty much the exact same effect as Dark Spirit of Banishment, but it has a little bit of a unique thing where when your opponent activates a card effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard and then target a level 8 fiend monster in the graveyard and special summon it, but its effects are negated. And then it shares the same ability that if a level 8 fiend monster is sent to the graveyard, you can add this card back to your hand. We then play 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld. This card combos very well in this deck. It's one of the best normal summons in the entire deck that you're going to be using over and over and over again, because what you're going to do with this card is you're going to normal summon it and then use the Burning Abyss cards that we play in the deck to combo off into your copies of Cherubini and finally get into your copy of your Rusty Bardige to control the board while you're trying to get your Destiny board to go off. We then play 2 copies of Doomdog. Doomdog is really good in this deck because it has the ability, if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you get to add a level 8 fiend monster from your deck to your hand, which is why I've bumped down from the previous build, the Dark Necrofear and the Curse Necrofear, down to 1 each, is because the Doomdog actually searches them, which helps out a lot in this deck. For the Burning Abyss monsters, we're going to be playing just a single copy of Scarm because it gives us an additional search in the deck, and it helps out a lot because all of your Burning Abysses has the same effect, that if you don't control a spell or trap, you can special summon them to your side of the field, but if you do, you can't activate the second effect. You only get either or effect per turn. If you control a monster that is not a Burning Abyss, they also destroy themselves, but the big effect that you're going to be using with Scarm is if this card is sent to the graveyard during the end phase, you can add a level 3 Dark Fiend monster from your deck to your hand, which is essentially any of the top row except for your Necrofear monsters. We're then playing a single copy of Graph. Graph has a very unique effect that special summons a Burning Abyss monster from the deck when this card is sent to the graveyard, and a single copy of Seer because Seer has the ability to bring back a Burning Abyss monster from the graveyard to your side of the field. We then play just a single copy of Fiendish Rhino Warrior. That's an additional mill to the graveyard if this card is sent to the graveyard, because it has the ability to send a Fiend monster to the graveyard when this card is sent to the graveyard, and it also has the ability that Fiend monster you control, except Fiendish Rhino Warrior, cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects, ultimately protecting your Burning Abyss monsters from themselves and their own card effects of destroying themselves. For the Phantom Knight monsters, we're playing a single copy of Ancient Cloak. This card can banish itself from the graveyard to add the Phantom Knight card from your deck to your hand, and a single copy of Silent Boots, which can banish itself from the graveyard to add any Phantom Knight spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So that's it for the monsters. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Terraforming, which is going to search out our awesomely powerful field spell. This card is a really good card, just to basically play a fourth one of our field spell, and it's just a really, really good card. We'll play a single copy of Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn helps out this deck a lot because you're using the Monster Reborn in this deck to be able to go in for additional plays and revive cards from the graveyard. We're playing a single copy of Instant Fusion. The Instant Fusion is here to be able to summon out cards from the extra deck just as extenders, so you can go in for additional plays. I really like this card in this deck because it helps you protect your plays with cards like your Millennium Eyes or Strict. We're then playing 3 copies of Dark Spirit Mastery. Dark Spirit Mastery is a really good card because you get to discard a card from your hand, and then when you discard a card from your hand, you can either add Destiny Board or level 8 Fiend Monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which is really good as an extender just to be able to grab those additional cards from the deck to go into all sorts of really, really awesome plays, like grabbing out your copy of your Dark Necrofear or your Cursed Necrofear or your copy of your Destiny Board directly from the deck. It also comes in very handy because you can banish this card from your graveyard, accept the turn it was sent there, and then place any number of Destiny Board and or Spirit Message cards with different names from your hand or graveyard on the bottom of the deck in any order, and then draw the same number of cards, which is really good just to be able to put those cards back so we can go in for additional plays later on in the duel. So I really, really like this card as a 3 of in this deck because it's very, very powerful. We then play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness just helps us grab cards from the deck to be able to thin through the deck even faster to go in for additional plays, which is why I played this card as a 3 of. We then play 3 copies of Dark Sanctuary. Dark Sanctuary is the reason that I wanted to rebuild this deck because I love the artwork of this card, and it is an awesome card to be able to play. This card is a very unique card that has the ability that basically if a Spirit Message card would be placed on the field with Destiny Board, you can special summon it as a normal monster, Fiend type, Dark, level 1, 0 attack and 0 defense instead. And if you do, it's unaffected by card effects except Destiny Board and cannot be targeted for attacks. So basically it gives you the additional slots on your side of the field to be able to special summon your copies of your Spirit Messages on your side of the field. It also has the ability that it doesn't prevent your opponent from attacking you directly, and when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you toss a coin. If the result is heads, negate the attack, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the current attack of the monster your opponent controls, which is really good because sometimes you will actually activate this card and not even get to your Destiny Board because your opponent will actually burn themselves out where they won't even be able to play because they will just essentially burn out all of their life points, which is really, really good for us and really, really bad for them. We then play 1 of each of the Spirit Messages, A, I, N, and L. We play each one of these because you need these in the deck to spell out final with your copy of Destiny Board to be able to instantly win the duel, which is really, really good for the deck to be able to go into because this is basically the big play that you're trying to go for. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps, because we actually play a couple of traps in this deck. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Destiny Board. You just need 2 copies of it because you can search it with Dark Spirit Mastery, and it's an overall fantastic card in this deck. It has the ability that when this card is on the field, or when this card and all 4 Spirit Message cards with different names are on the field, you automatically win the duel. Now, this is going to be the main way that we're going to be winning the duel in this particular build that we're going to be going for all the time. I really love playing this card as a 2 of in the deck. I feel like at 3, it bricks really bad So I just play it as a 2 of in the deck because you're already playing all of those spirit messages. You can shuffle them back into the deck with a couple of cards, but overall, I just really like this card as a 2 of in this deck. It also has some really neat effects that it puts your copies of your spirit messages on your side of the field, because once per turn, during your opponent's end phase, you place a spirit message card from your hand or deck in your spell and trap card zone face up in the proper order of I, N, A, and L. And when any spirit message card or destiny board you control leaves the field, you send spirit message cards and destiny boards you control to the graveyard, essentially turning off your win condition, and then you have to go in with your other cards for the win condition, which is totally fine, but this card is a really awesome nostalgic card. We then play a single copy of Shade Brigandine, which is basically a card that can special summon it to your side of the field as a level 4 dark monster, and it's searchable off your copies of your Phantom Knight monsters, just giving you an additional monster. 2 copies of Fogblade, because you're going to be using Fogblade with your copy of Rusty Bardige to be able to give you some monster negates in this deck, because it really helps out to stop your opponent's monster effects to protect your destiny board. And then we play 2 copies of Sentence of Doom. Sentence of Doom is an awesome card because it has the ability that you can target any number of your fiend monsters that are banished or in your graveyard up to the number of destiny board and or spirit message cards you control and add them back to your hand. And you can send this card from your spell and trap card zone to the graveyard to place a spirit message card from your hand, deck, or graveyard in your spell and trap card zone, and is treated as being placed by destiny board. You can only use each of this card's effect once per turn. The reason I play this card as a 2 of in this deck is because it helps speed up the destiny board a little bit faster, where we're cutting down on the amount of turns that we're having to keep it on our side of the field. So that's it for the traps, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Rusty Bardige. This card is really good because it searches out, or it sends to the graveyard our copies of our Silent Boots, and it sends to the graveyard our copy of our Ancient Cloak to be able to get us additional searches, which is really good for the deck to put your Fogblade face down on your side of the field to give you additional protection. We play a single copy of Cherubini because this card combos very well with our cards, because basically what you're trying to do with this deck is get 2 fiend monsters on your side of the field to then special summon out this, send a copy of Graph to the graveyard, then you're going to be link summoning into your copy of your Phantom Knight of Rusty Bardige, and then you're going to be special summoning out Seer. Seer will pop itself, and then you can bring your copy of Cherubini back to your side of the field, giving you another link monster, which is really good. We'll play a single copy of Access Code Talker because it's going to give us additional pops on the field, so I really like this card as a 1 of in the deck. It comes in very handy because it gives you a lot of pops. You can change it out for a copy of Boral Sword if you want to. You never really go this high into a copy of Access Code Talker, but there is occasional opportunities to, which is why I play it as a 1 of, but it's not going to break the deck if you do drop it out for a copy of Boral Sword. We then play a copy of Unicorn to spin stuff, Phoenix to pop spells and traps, and a single copy of IP Masquerena because the IP Masquerena lets us link summon during our opponent's turn, which is really good, into the copy of Unicorn. We play a single copy of Alamirage as well because our normal summon monsters can be linked away for this card, which is really good to have less than 1,000 attack. And then a single copy of Link Rebo because you're going to be using this card with your copy of Millennium Eyes Restrict and the copy of Instant Fusion. We then play a single copy of Millennium Eyes Restrict, which will basically give us additional protections and be able to link climb into other cards into the deck, and it also gives us the ability to be able to stop hand traps. We play a single copy of Break Sword to pop cards on the field, Nightmare Shark because we can use this card to go into Zeus very easily because it can attack your opponent directly, Levenair the Sea Dragon because it brings back our monsters to our side of the field that are level 4 or lower by detaching a material, Fortune Tune because you can throw this in defense position and give yourself a little bit of protection, 1 copy of Downer Magician that you can make on top of any of your level 3 or rank 3 monsters, and then make a copy of Zeus, giving it an additional material. And Zeus is basically here just to give us the complete board wipe, just in case we need it. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to play around with, and it's a really, really awesome nostalgic deck played by Bakura, basically playing his Dark Necrofear and the upgraded versions of his Destiny board cards. It's a overall fantastic deck, and I really hope that you give this deck a try. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next so you can come part of our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.